I'm gonna do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is Megan.
I'm Megan. I'm Cady. It's nice to meet you, Cady. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
Megan, your goal is to protect Cady from harm, both physical and emotional.
Is that a doll?
Model 3 Generative Android. Megan, for short.
I can't believe you made this. I love it.
Wanna hang out, yeah, sounds like fun.
Great job.
It's nice to have a friend.
It's honestly like she's part of the family now.
They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle.
She's the happiest she's been since her parents died. Eat the toppings, Cady.
Research shows if you force a child to eat vegetables, they'll be less likely to choose those foods as adults.
Is that so?
Yes. Experts say.
Megan, turn off.
I thought we were having a conversation.
Does she talk? Make her say something.
Stop! Don't! Megan! You should probably run. Megan, she pushed Brandon onto the road. I won't let anything harm you.
Megan, turn off.
Recalibrating response model. Megan! What's wrong with you? Don't worry, Cady. I won't let anything harm you. Ever again.
It's nice to have.
And welcome everybody to the channel. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying villain in all of YouTube entertainment today. Gerald Zod, welcome. So tonight, if you guys couldn't tell by my little trailer introduction, because I don't care because YouTube can't demonetize my channel anyway, so good luck with that. It did a little teaser trailer. This will be no spoilers for Megan. I am going to spoil the shit out of Puss in Boots, though. Unfortunately, Bitchy Unicorn's not feeling the greatest. We will get one of those reviews out, but probably do it a bit later. So anyways, I'm going to do non-spoilers for Megan, and then I'm going to spoil the shit out of Puss in Boots. And it'll be like a dual review. Because right now Megan just came out, and I really don't want to give away anything, especially if people haven't had a chance to see the movie. I'm just going to give you guys my initial thoughts, impressions, what I think they did right, what I think they did wrong, and pretty much all that stuff. Because, like I said, this movie is brand new, and I really don't want to spoil it for anyone who has not seen the movie yet. So, let me see who's here, and then we'll get started. I'm going to do the Megan review probably first because it is the quickest, seeing as too that's non-spoiler, so there's not really much for me to dive in and to talk about, because as I said before, I don't want to ruin the movie. I'm not that kind of guy. I want you guys to go out and see it, but knowing that I'm saying that, I did enjoy this movie. I will talk about the good and the bad and some of the mixed aspects that I had of the film overall, but I'm going to keep it very vague and spoiler free. So let me see who we got here for this live stream review. Hello, Lemon Pie, my favorite pie. Christine, how are you doing? We have Deplander. What's up, Deplander? And I don't think I've missed any. Did I miss anyone? No, nope, so far. And anybody else lurking around, You can pop in and say hi in the chat. Don't worry if you're coming here to hear thoughts about M3gan. I will not be spoiling the movie once again, especially with new movies. Any new movie I do here on the channel, especially if it's the first Friday it was released. Technically, this movie came out yesterday. There's some early reviews on it, but I tend to wait at least until Sunday or Monday or the next week if I get into like an in-depth spoiler, depending on if it's worth a spoiler. And to be quite honest, this movie is not worth a spoiler because there's not much to it, and I'll get to that when I get to my review. So, in case you guys don't know, what is M3gan? M3gan stands for it's like an artificial intelligence, the third gen. It's like mechanical third gen artificial intelligence, and they never really said what the N was, but it's pretty cool because the breakdown of her name is actually techno jargon. So even the name of this movie does actually have a point to it. Uh, oh, thank you, and a happy new year to you too, Christine. So the story tells basically the story as seen in the trailer. And my beef with the trailer is there is a few things in there where I was like, wow, I can't believe they show that stuff. I would say though there is a story here, and the story is it's very much ingrained in the movie, and it was a surprising film. When I went in, I expected a Chucky-esque kind of a film. You know, random crazy ass shit with a doll that just offed people, only technology instead of voodoo. Surprisingly, the film does deal with a lot of other different subject matter, and there is other themes that they do weave very cleverly into this movie that I thought they did very well. And I'm going to talk about some of that stuff. But um, the first thing I got to say is I am creeped out by dolls naturally. Um, this doll in particular, because it looks human but not. I believe Bitchy put it the best. It's very uncanny valley. Uh, there are moments where it looks frighteningly real, and then moments when you could tell it's a doll, and that kind of horror aesthetic really creeps me the hell out. So it definitely had that, and I think Bitchy described it the best, where she says, "Don't go into this expecting a horror movie. This to me is not really a horror movie. There are some creepy elements in the movie, but this is surprisingly funny. There's a lot of funny shit that happens in this movie, whether intentional or unintentional. There's a lot of hilarious scenes. Uh, Even you could tell that they had a very fun time filming this. Even the scenes where someone is about to die, there is a couple of very hilarious things that happen within the people getting killed. I heard some reviews saying that some people didn't deserve this, and I gotta say, like, M3gan's not very sympathetic, but there. Oh yes, the doll runs on all fours. Uh, yeah, it's very creepy. That wasn't even the creepiest part, but like I said, there's no spoilers here. There is some other things that she does, and I give kudos to the actress. M3gan moves very animatronic, but yet also there's a flow to where at times she could almost look human. And I think that this movie does a lot better of a job than Chucky 2019 did with the idea of a doll that can control all this technology. And it was. Uh, so the premise, let me start with the premise of the story. The premise of the story is the little girl that you see in the trailer, both her parents die, and her aunt is forced to take care of her, and she works for this robotics company, and she makes basically like this Furby shit, and she's been working on a prototype for a actual animatronic doll that would be the next step, like a toy that learns with your kid. It's always evolving, it's changing along to meet your child's needs. And she kind of uses her niece as a guinea pig, so to speak, because she's dealing with the tragedy of losing her sister, and the the daughter obviously is dealing with losing the two parents, and she's not equipped to deal with a kid. So she kind of makes this android to do some of the stuff she doesn't know how to do, or doesn't have the time to do, or just doesn't know because she obviously went a different direction in her path. She chose her career where her sister chose to have a family. And I kind of did like that dynamic because, oh yeah, yeah, trust me, that wood scene is pretty crazy. Um, but I did like the dynamics and the stuff that it tackled. And this really isn't a spoiler. You could tell this off the trailer or just reading a synopsis. It's very much about people's codependence on technology as well. And I think they really do it very well here because they use that kind of family element where this person understandably doesn't know how to raise a child and kind of uses Megan, this AI, to teach her kid, and what happens if the kid bonds with an AI as opposed to a person, and the kind of questions. And to be honest, that's also one of my complaints. I wish they dived into that subject a little bit deeper. They do touch on it a lot. There is a theme. There's a cool little thing that happens, and there's a cool. What up, Brett? How are you doing? Um, yeah, I agree with Brett Cohen says testing on children is more advisable than animals. Yeah. Um, it's uh, there is a thing they bring up that I didn't even realize about, and because she suffered a trauma, they talk about this attachment bond thing where the child will attach to the first person who listens to her and kind of uh, you know, helps her go through this. And she and it's this thing. Well, what are you teaching your kids? Like, what are you getting them attached to? And I think that's a good message. And the way it's delivered, it doesn't beat you over the head. There's a lot of subtle little things as you're watching it, and you go, "Oh, I see what you're doing here. I see what you're trying to say." And it's delivered in a way that's pretty smart. The writing is unreasonably good for this movie. Look, this is a January horror film, and I've been surprised in January they've actually put out good movies. And this movie actually has a little bit of a story. It's just not some big goofy doll goes crazy kills people. There's some real, like, they talk about trauma, they talk about grief, they talk about uh, people who are parenting that have to take on this responsibility when they're not ready to. They talk about what that looks like, putting your work life over your kids. There's a lot of shit in this movie I did not expect. And it was a pleasant surprise. What's up, Rose? Good to see you on the channel. How are you doing? I am doing a non spoiler review for Megan. So if you are here to hear some of my thoughts and opinions, do not worry. I will not spoil the movie. I'm just going to give my general thoughts and description. I am going to spoil the shit out of the next movie, which is Puss in Boots 2. But that's been out for a while, and I feel like I got a deep dive into why I fucking love that movie. But, anyways, uh, as far as Megan goes, it really did surprise me how much of a story this movie actually has. And to be honest, do not go in there if you are expecting to see a movie with a doll that goes crazy, kind of like Chucky, and just starts killing people. This is not that movie. It takes them a good, like, I want to say, like, we were 40 minutes, 50 minutes into the movie before there was even a kill. There's a lot of story and setup, and there's a lot of built up between Megan and the child, which I think really adds to the effect of when you get to the batshit crazy stuff that happens near the last half hour of this film. I think they do a very good job at pacing the story to where they're not just giving you this this like just murder stall for no reason. They're really making you ask these different questions, and they're presenting these different things and kind of getting to know these characters. Now, I heard some things about people saying that the girl was unlikable. There was only one part in the movie that pissed me off, something she does. I'm not going to spoil it. You'll know when you see it. The father in me said, "Oh yeah, I'd smack the shit out of her. I don't care what kind of trauma she was going through." But other than that, I think most of the characters are pretty sympathetic. I thought I was going to come into this movie hating this lady who kind of just takes this girl and then essentially builds her a robot so she doesn't have to deal with her. But one thing they do with the characters well, I think, is it really does show both of their perspectives and them trying to figure it out. Like, both their parents died. This lady was not ready to raise a child. And like when you think about it, it's like, yeah, you're there's a lot of awkward moments in this film where they're just kind of looking at each other and it's like, okay, what do we do here? And I thought that was done great. I thought that the little girl and the actress in this did a great job as far as their chemistry goes, and just that feeling of they both don't know what to do in this situation. And you got to think too, her sister died. And she has her sister's kid. So she's going through her emotional grief too. And this little kid is going through the most traumatic thing that can happen to a child. And I thought that was a really, really good setup for this film. And then the first few things that Megan does kind of almost makes you go, is she really a villain? But then that bitch goes crazy. And let me just talk about for a second the detail on this robot. Now, I played the trailer clip for everyone in the beginning. Uh, that does not express how fucking eerie this doll is when it's pissed off. Um, Look, I'm not being sexist here, but something about ladies' expressions when they're angry works extremely well. She gives this look, like this ice cold, like you look at that look and you go, "Oh yeah, that person's done. They're gonna get it," because she has this look that she gives. And kudos to the special effects and everything. I have a feeling a lot of this was practical, especially with the doll and the animatronics. They said they did use human movements too, and some of this stuff I was like, "Oh shit, man! Like this is crazy." How uh, they get this they had two actresses who did the movements for this doll, and it really shows the movement is very fluid, um and yet it's robotic, so it feels fake but it doesn't. And I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. It's a very good performance, because there's times where you would swear to God this robot was a person if the light doesn't hit it and you don't see all the plastic and shit. But there's a couple of scenes where even the robot moves without you hearing, like, because you hear this and when it moves sometimes. But there's some scenes where this little bitch just pops out of nowhere, and you don't even hear her. She's just fucking standing in the dark with that creepy ass fucking look, just staring you down. And this movie is very effective. And I will say too, not a lot of jump scares. A lot of the horror here, uh, like, Bitchy is very sensitive to sounds. She doesn't like when they do that loud boom or whatever. And this movie surprisingly does not use a whole lot of jump scares. I mean, like, there's one or two, but it was placed where the scare should be placed and something actually happened. A lot of it was just Megan herself and her facial features, and the fact that she moves so quietly. Like, the little bitch will be on the counter and then she'll be right fucking behind you, and you're like, oh shit. And it makes the audience go like, oh shit. There's a couple of good shots in here, especially in the dark, where you just see the silhouettes moving around. And I think that's more effective as opposed to boom or da da da, and then the thing just appears. I appreciate the fact that there's not a lot of that going on. What's up, Killy Chow? Good to see you. We are doing a non-spoiler talk. Yeah, yeah. Look, Lemon Pie, this little bitch was creepy. I will call her that. Megan was fucking creepy. Okay, don't get your kids dolls. All right, this is a good PSA. Stop building like artificial intelligence and shit. You can't control it. Okay, once AI figures out that we're fuck ups, that's the end of the world. Like, I don't understand why we still do it. Like, I could build this robot and put parameters in. No, they always break their parameters. And we're sitting there in the movie, and I'm going, no. And the funny part is, there's a part where she doesn't even think about building in parameters for her to stop the robot. And I'm like, this is classic, like, robot takes over 101. You always build in a backup. Like, you don't just let a robot that self learns, like, not listen to your voice commands. I thought another cool thing was that M3gan pairs with the child like a phone. So, okay, so in order for the robot to sync with the child, they touch the robot's hand and they place it there and they say their name and they talk to it, and then like a cell phone, your child is paired with this doll. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you know what? There's some stupid fucking people out there that would buy this shit for their kid. Like, I could picture rich people buying this shit and being like, "Yeah, go play with your doll," and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the doll's like fucking killing half the neighborhood. Like, it's done in a way where uh, I can honestly say, like, and there's some ridiculous things like in this story. It's very self-aware of what it is. You guys have seen the dance probably 1,000 times on YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that. There is some kind of really odd things that happen that are just kind of thrown in there. The movie is very aware of what kind of a movie it is, but at the same time, underneath it, there's this question of technology and parenting and uh, you know, the differences. There's uh there's even some moments when it's referenced. I once again, I'm not doing spoilers, so I can't fully break down specific scenes, but there's a lot of different things where there's specific moments where they're posing the question of how much are we letting our kids, use these cell phones, and where does it stop, right? Um, are we too reliant on this? And more scary, our kids are more knowledgeable about this stuff than we are, right? They're on it a lot more, and it's almost like they're getting all their ideas, their information, they're learning from a machine. And what happens when that machine can influence what your kids are doing? That is a fucking scary concept within itself. Um, so we will have to fight Watson in the future. I agree, man. I agree. It's scary. It's scary, and I gotta say, the people in my theater, they were laughing. Some people jumped up. I know when I screamed, "Oh hell no!" there were a lot of people going, "Oh hell no!" Like, um, I know in a particular scene there were a lot of people uh yelling out the same thing. So the theater environment for this too. I like to talk about this because I feel like this is going to impact how well this movie does. I think because of the way this movie is structured and how much surprisingly it doesn't get to the killing and murdering right away, and it kind of builds up the characters. I think it really makes the crowd more, uh, it kind of lures you into a false sense of security until the big thing happens. And then you're sitting there waiting tense. And the kills are kind of spread out too. So something does happen that triggers whatever happens. And then from there, they kind of let you sit there and you're just like, you see the look and you go, oh, is she going to go and kill this person? Because there's a certain point where you just see a look and you know, oh, that bitch is dead. Like, she just gave that look. Shit's going down. And there's some points where you think there would be a kill, but there wasn't. I liked the randomness of it. Now, with a couple of my flaws, with as much fun as I had with this movie, and I thought it was really good, I did feel like the rating does hurt it. There, don't get me wrong, I was pretty shocked with what they show. There is particularly a very gory thing that they show in here where I was like, oh shit, PG-13, they can show that. But for the most part, there's certain cutaways and things that they do where you could tell they watered it down. It's not natural. Also, some of the curse words kind of sounded like they were dubbed over. I did pick up where what a person said didn't quite line up with how they were talking, which means that they audio dubbed it, whenever the words don't line up. So they probably cut out, or they probably took out a couple of curse words. They definitely took out some of the more graphic kills. Um, and I'm a little bit mixed on it because while I don't believe you need gore to make a film like the best, I think with the way that stuff goes down, I would have liked to seen just slightly more. Um, but for what they showed, they did push that. They pushed that PG-13. Let me tell you, there is some pretty gnarly stuff that happens in here. But if you're going in there for like super gore, that's not what this movie is. There's more tension and suspense. When shit goes down, it really does go down. There is a very cool sequence of events that happens near the end of the movie, um, which would the whole back half hour of the movie is really cool. There's some balls out to the wall crazy shit that happens towards the last half of the film. Uh, Definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. But overall, I thought that they did a lot more. I would have, like I said, there comes a certain point in the film where they kind of drop the theme that they're going with technology and it kind of becoming a parent to your kid and stuff like that to something that happens where I think it felt a little bit rushed at the end to kind of wrap it up. I wish they would have just explored it slightly more. Granted, this was 2 hours. I'll be honest, this didn't feel like a 2 hour movie, which is good. I complain a lot. I hate movies where I feel like I've been sitting there for 2 hours. That to me means the movie is not keeping me engaged. So yeah, I didn't have that feeling once in the theater where I was like, "Oh, come on, can we get to like?" I was legitimately invested in this relationship with this little girl and this doll, and how things were slowly developing. And the doll's story was intriguing too, and the certain scenes they put in there with it learning and things like that. And I found the whole concept a lot better done than Child's Play 2019 did. I think this is what Child's Play 2019 was trying to do, but didn't do it as effectively as this movie does. Um, the writer of Get Out wrote this, and it shows because there is a underlining, like really well structured story here, and you can feel where there is some good writing for this. And I'm going to credit to the person, one of the people who wrote this story, wrote Get Out. James Wan wrote some of the script. I'm going to contribute the zany shit that happened was probably James Wan. And then, this guy directed it, and I think they did a really good job. If you haven't seen it, there's this movie called The House or something that this dude directed before this, and his cinematography style and the way he frames his shot is very well done. The shots in this are quite good. Um, there are sometimes in horror movies where people shoot in the dark, and there's a difference between something being dark, like you can't see shit, and something being dark as in it's in the dark, but you can still see what's going on. And this director has a very good way of lighting a scene. And he knows when to have the scene dark enough to where you just see the shadows moving for effect, as opposed to you can't see shit. And he keeps a lot of, especially with the kills, which is why I think they edited it the way they did. He keeps it very lit so you can see all of the detail of what's happening. And the way he pans up from something that happens and then the person's facial expression as they're going through it. I think this guy is a very good director. I would definitely be interested in more of his work. Um, then there is Solo, a Star Wars story. Dark. Yeah, exactly. With that, it's dark, as in you can't see shit. This is a dark movie, but you can still see what's going on. Do you always have a sense? There's always some kind of light source where you have just enough light to see a certain character or anything like that, but they keep Megan intentionally in the shadows until that moment where she decides to step out of shadows, and it makes it more creepy to me. I think this movie does an excellent job of creating an antagonist that is genuinely scary. Because when you see, I know people have seen the dance and everything else like that, but when you see the movie, there is so much nuance into how they make uh, this doll creepy as shit. It's just like from the first moment they introduce and you kind of see them getting her face on. There is a thing she does with her smile where it kind of curls and it's almost human but very maniacal. There's the way she moves her eyes. They focused a lot on the facial expressions, which I appreciate, and the different micro movements that really amped up the horror because they built on, hey, Carmen, what's up? They built on the the they built on the body expression. That's what I'm looking for. The body expressions of an expressionless doll, or what we would consider expressionless. The fact that it has such a range of expression makes it creepy because there is like a human. You could tell when this doll was pissed, or it got this kind of look, and I mean like the eyebrows and shit moved. It was pretty cool. Like it got this look where you could just tell, oh yeah, that person's gonna get fucked up. Like they're done. And I thought that was so effective. Hey Sean B, what's up? Welcome to my non-spoiler review of Megan. Um, but yeah, there's a scene that's not even a horror scene. Okay, so and this is not a spoiler. It was in the trailer I played at the beginning of the stream. When they're first introducing Megan to this little girl, the way she moves and sits down, like if you really look at that stream, it's those movements are so well done because half of it feels mechanical, but if you looked really quick enough, it would almost be like a little girl going to sit down because she moves really quickly, right? She kind of and then sits right down. It's I can't explain it, but a lot of the things they built so much character into this into Megan that it gives it more of a real feel. So when this shit is going down, you know it's a robot, but you're like 20 times and it intensifies and heightens that sense of fear. All right. Sorry about that. Tech issues. Speaking of technology. uh yeah, so as I was saying, um the so the whole crux of this thing is like I was going through technology. I saw a live, thought I'd pop in. Thank you very much. And hopefully you had a happy new year, Jenny. But yeah, there. So the thing with this movie that I really liked about it was I love the love the way that the actors, the actresses, and obviously there's a grown up and there's a child who do Megan's movements, and I think with those two together, it creates this really unique kind of look to her. I would say definitely the doll is the star of the show, but there's a surprisingly good story in here. So far, what do I think of the movie? I think that the movie does suffer from having to cut out some of the violence. I think that even just making this kind of a soft R would help when the kills happen because of the intensity and the ferocity of the kills. Um, but I do think that it's just more than its kills. There's an actual story in this movie, and it's a good story, and it's a well written story, and definitely kudos because this was the first movie that I've seen of this year. And while I'm not saying it's on the level for me of like a Terrifier or something like that, where I was really jazzed up, I would say I was pleasantly surprised, and I think I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. Um, I really enjoyed it. I just think that I have to see the unrated cut to get more of a feel, and my score might actually go up a bit. But there was just some dubbing issues I had. There was some scenes that were kind of goofy. The songs were really weirdly placed. I don't care what anyone says. She sings Titanium in this. It's kind of weird. Even Bitchy agreed with me. Little bit of weird and kind of comes out of nowhere where she's singing these like pop songs. Some people laughed, so I guess it works for some people. Um, but I did agree with Bitchy on that one. The songs were a really weird choice. The one scene that everyone's been mimicking with the dance, it was kind of random. There is a reason for why she does it, but still, it's kind of randomly placed. I think what keeps it from being a 9 or 10 for me is there is some points in it where they did put like outlandish shit just to kind of make it outlandish, and it really didn't fit. And the thing that makes it stick out in this movie is because the rest of the movie is so well made and the story is so interesting and everything is flowing so good that some of the goofy shit does really stick out in this film. And you're kind of like, I don't understand why you put that in there. Like, why is she singing this song? Like, it does kind of come out of nowhere. Some people have that sense of humor. Um, I do agree with Bitchy on that one, where it's like, I got what you're going for, but I think it's kind of fucking weird you're singing this song at this point because she said something interesting. I mean, she's like, why would she sing that song? Like, it doesn't really like it's kind of cringy. Yeah, or the singing was a comfort thing. She doesn't get the singing in general. Like, I get why the doll did it. It was according to it goes by studies in the internet. So according to studies, singing is supposed to have a calming effect on children, which bet you get that part. But I was more focused on the song choices. Like, I get you want to put modern songs in there, but it's kind of fucking weird. So like singing Titanium to your kid would not be something I'd sing. Or there was another song in there that she kept singing that was kind of odd, and I think that was more played for uh, being quirky as opposed to making sense to the story. So, oh yeah, I am talking about Megan. So, unfortunately, Bitchy's not feeling that well tonight, so I'm gonna be doing the review. But we're going to bring you guys a good review, kind of funny one. So stay tuned for that. But um, yeah, I think that overall the movie was entertaining. Uh, I would recommend going out and seeing this. This is a surprise January movie yet again. Definitely an 8 out of 10. It's definitely above average for me. I really enjoyed it. But I just don't. I think it's missing that X factor that brings it up to like Pearl or X for me is a 9.5, almost 10. Like, because those are really substance rich, surprising, and great movies. This was good. It was fun. Laughed. Some people got fucked up. It was a nice little movie that was way better than it had any right to be. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I saw the marketing for this, I was like, oh, I like me a shitty movie every now and again. So I'm intrigued to go and see this. Like, I was thinking like, maybe a knockoff Child's Play. But then when they laid out the story and they start with a tragedy and you're sitting going, oh shit, this movie actually has more to it than just some goofy, wacky doll antics. I mean, they talk about grief and they talk about, uh, you know, motherhood and, career driven people who have to take care of a kid, and there's a lot of different things that they talk about in this movie where you're kind of just not expecting that. You're expecting a doll that just goes crazy and fucking offs people, but it's got a lot more to it. And for that, I think it deserves definitely above average. I definitely recommend I would see this, and please do so that James Cameron can be knocked off of his high horse. Because fuck Avatar 2. I hate that fucking movie. But anyways, that's probably a review for another day. I personally think it's overrated, but that's how I felt about the first movie. And what do I know? Because here we are again, another fucking Avatar movie, and it's almost made $2 billion. So I guess I will never understand that franchise, and this was definitely more tolerable for me. So um, all in all, I'd say it was a good way to start January, and it gives me hope for all these other movies coming out. Like, this was way better than it had any right to be. So, good job, Blumhouse. This is your hit. I'm waiting for your movie that's going to be a complete fucking shit show because Blumhouse always puts out one or two good movies and then five shitty ones. So, here's the first good one. We'll wait and see what other pieces of shit they release after this because, like I said, Blumhouse is a hit or miss. But we got Knock on the Cabin Door coming out, which I'm looking forward to. Evil Dead Rise. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. Huge Evil Dead fan. Cannot wait. That's on my like highly anticipated. Scream 6, very anticipated. So this was nice. No, I would disagree. I would say Avatar 2 was the same as the exact same for me as the first one. The exact same. They ripped off a different movie. That's the difference between 1 and 2. They ripped off The Patriot this time instead of Dances with Wolves and Fern Gully. I'm sorry, that's just like the story is direct ripoff for me. Like I get it. I respect the visuals or whatever. I think the score is good, but I I I just don't like the story. I think the story has been garbage since the first one, and it's garbage in this one too. It makes no fucking sense. And I come from the Terminator days. I wish James Cameron would do something else. Like, that's the best way I could see. Yes, I have seen the trailer for The Old Way. I'm looking. Nick Cage has got two movies coming out. He's got Rumsfeld and The Old Way. I can't wait for either of the movies. Like, this is the year of Nick Cage. I get two Nick Cage movies battling for my top 10. I don't even know which I'm going to put above which. Like, one's an emotional Nick Cage and one's comedy Nick Cage. It's going to be a tough year for me again because we got so many good movies coming out. Oh, Jenny, I love your opinion. I respect you. I've got a deep seated hatred for Avatar. Goes back to the first movie. Um, so I have some personal reasons for not liking the film. Uh, but I do recognize the achievement. And like, look, you can't take one thing I can't take away. I give him credit. One, I will eat my words. I did not expect this movie to come close to $2 billion. So James, congratulations on that. And two, visually, I agree with what everyone says. Like, this movie is honestly a visual masterpiece. Like, hands down, there's no debate. There's not going to be a movie that comes out this year or probably the next 10 years that touches what he did with the visuals. Like, to blend CGI so seamlessly with environment and make it work real, like, I totally respect that. But fuck Avatar. um, anyways, yes, I loved Megan, Lovely Sherry. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it has a surprisingly good story. It is much better than it has any right to be. So if you guys didn't see the beginning of my review, you can rewind it back to catch my thoughts. But yeah, I agree with you, Sean Bean. The first Avatar is grossly overrated by a lot. But I get it, because when he came out with that one, the tech was ahead of its time too. So I give James Cameron one thing: the man can shoot a fucking movie like nobody else in the business. That's not even a question. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, uh, yeah, I'm gonna stay on the Megan topic because I will have. I haven't done a review on this movie on purpose. I will have a review on it someday, and I'm even gonna include the first Avatar, and I'll give you guys a detailed breakdown on my feelings and specifically why I don't like the films, because I got a long list of reasons. But the first one I'd have to say right at the top of the list is story. Um, I can't sit there and watch something for 3.5 hours that has no story in it whatsoever, or I've seen and is blatantly ripped off almost verbatim from a better movie. It really pisses me off because it's like people are going to connect this movie with that story, and it was done like 10 years before this movie. And if you borrow elements, that's one thing. Everybody borrows stuff. But when you wholesale rip off the whole entire plot and then just change some words, I have an issue with that. I think it shows a lack of creativity for someone who's so creative. That's just my opinion. I know I'm in the minority apparently. So but yeah, lovely Sherry. It's been great on horror. Oh, it's been great for horror. Last year for horror was the bee's knees. This year oh, Jenny, I love your zest when we debate back and forth. So I appreciate, you know me. I love to debate. Uh, I think it gives way to good discussion. But yeah, this is a non-spoiler for Megan, and I gotta say, go out and see it. It's a surprisingly good movie. I think you'll have a fun time. And I will say, it's the first 2-hour movie I felt that I watched that didn't feel like 2 hours. This movie does not, especially when you get to the end. It seems to just like fly by like that, and you're like, oh, okay, guess the movie's done. So for a movie to have me engaged like that, where I thought it wrapped up quicker than it did, kudos to the movie. Really enjoyed it. Great stuff. So this is a double review. I've given my thoughts on Megan. If you'd like to see that, go back into the beginning. But now we're going to talk about a movie that's going to surprise you because it's going to be higher for Megan, and I'm going to explain the reasons why. But I went to see Puss in Boots too, and I got to say, I fucking love this movie. Okay, so a little a little caveat here. Puss in Boots is my favorite character out of the Shrek franchise. Um, Antonio Banderas is another national treasure, and him as Puss in Boots is like, you know how the actor is born to play a certain role. Yeah, Antonio Banderas, his role, his defining role is a fucking cat. But you know, whatever, it works. A charismatic kind of asshole cat. And maybe that's why I like him, because Puss in Boots is a bit of a bit of a dick, and I like that. Like, he's all about my legacy, and I am Puss in Boots. Like, I just love the smooth accent. But yeah, a lot of people didn't see the first movie. I did. I loved the first movie. This one is hands down better. I don't understand. First of all, this movie has a lot of heavy themes. So, spoiler warning: if you want to see Puss in Boots 2, go out and see it, come back. But if you just want to get the breakdown of why I think this is such a great movie, then stay tuned, because I'm going to dive deep and just gush about this movie, because this was surprising for me. It came out of nowhere. Bitchy kept telling me that I needed to see it, I would enjoy it. I was like, put a cartoon on the side. I got other things to watch. But um, this movie was fucking good. Another movie that came out of nowhere that was way better than it had any right to be. So, hey, Generations Productions, how are you doing? Yeah, and thank you. I am doing Oh, okay. Cool. So here we go. So Puss in Boots 2 is called The Last Wish. And so basically our antagonist or our hero, the protagonist of the story, our favorite cat, Puss in Boots. All right. First off, it opens with an epic fight scene and a fucking dance number. And one of the funniest songs I've fucking heard. It would be my anthem if Antonio Banderas didn't already do it. So god damn it. It's basically about how great he is. And then they wake up a troll, and Puss in Boots fights a fucking troll and beats the troll. And the funny part about it is, yeah, it does have the animation is quite amazing. They blend almost like 3D sketchy kind of animation and regular like the regular CG, but there's parts where it looks like it was like hand drawn. The animation is just outstanding. And so Puss in Boots fights with this troll and beats the troll, but then has a bell fall on him and he dies. And so, as you guys know, cats have 9 lives. So the crux of the movie is after this fight with this troll, Puss in Boots is down to his last life. And so, uh, in a surprising twist, and why I appreciate this movie is this movie deals with death. And I did not expect that from a fucking kids' movie. But uh, Puss in Boots starts dealing with the fact that dealing with mortality, like he's only got one life left, and he's this adventurous, you know, takes chances. And it's funny because they do a montage of all the times that he lost a life, and it's just hilarious. Like he gets drunk and falls off of a tower. Um, he does this like running with the bulls, and then he goes to talk to this pretty lady, and the bulls stomp him. It's just a bunch of montages of him dying until he gets to this last death where a fucking bell fell on him, and so he goes into seclusion. But he has this fight with this wolf, and this is such a great device because there's this wolf thing that is hunting him down, and he he comes across as a bounty hunter. And once again, spoilers for anyone who doesn't want it spoiled. Then click off, whatever, blah blah. You've been warned. So the crux of this movie is that, and it shocked me. I did not see this plot twist coming. So you see this wolf thing that is hunting him now because he has a flyer, and Puss in Boots is obviously wanted. He assumes that this wolf is a bounty hunter. Well, the fucking plot twist of the movie is that since he's died so many times and he has one life left and he's an arrogant fuck, the thing that's actually chasing him is death. I was just like, what? Like, because there comes points where no one sees this thing that's chasing him, and I didn't pick it up. The way it's shot is very clever. It just looks like, he had a fight with him and he loses his confidence, so he goes into seclusion and he hides or whatever. And come to find out that the movie was, or the thing in the movie was actually death coming for him, but like literally and figuratively. So they animated the literal fucking thing, but it's also a metaphor in the movie. And I am like, this is way too goddamn clever for a kids movie. Like, that is such a brilliant. I watched a fucking child's cartoon, and they have a better plot twist than some movies I saw last year that set up Ryan Johnson. Ryan, with your stupid fucking Glass Onion and fucking Knives Out bullshit. Now that was a plot twist because that I did not see coming, because the way that they set this character up, you do not understand that it's literally death until the very end of the film when they're fighting on the star. So the whole plot is Puss is about to die. He finds a map, and it's a wishing star. So he wants to go to the wishing star to make a wish to gain his 9 lives back so that he can avoid death. And, they go on this adventure. Wacky shenanigans ensue. He left his fucking feline pretty partner there. He left her at the altar. Funny as fuck. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's scared of commitment. There is so much deep shit in this movie. Uh, there's a thing with Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and that has to deal with like orphans, and then you find a family, and you stick with the family. There's a lot of like. I'm sitting here watching this, going like, dude, this is way too deep to be a kid's cartoon. Like you get the pretty colors and the silly moments, and there were some kids in there laughing at all of the stupid stuff that you'd normally laugh at, but then you watch the movie and they're talking about like, you know even though you weren't raised by the family you're with, they can still become family because you had Goldilocks and the 3 bears who were British, and it was fucking hilarious. And Goldie wanted a family, but then the whole time she never realized that with the 3 bears, she already had a family, and it took her like almost losing one to realize that the whole time she had her family that she wanted, but she wasn't like, accepting it. She had this idea of what she thought family needed to be, but it was there the whole time. And like I'm sitting here watching, and there's a fucking hilarious play with Jiminy Cricket. If you don't watch the movie, watch it for this scene because it is fucking hysterical. There's the real evil guy. He's like this pie guy, and so he goes and he steals magic stuff, and his wish is he wants all of the magic in the world so he can be powerful. The normal evil bullshit. Uh, John Mulaney. Yeah, but that's but anyways, he comes from that nursery rhyme with the fiddler's thumb. Yeah, a hoarder. Yeah, his name is Hoarder, and so he wants to steal all of the magic, and he's basically a pretentious douchebag. He's just a flat out asshole. And there's even funny scenes with him where Jiminy Cricket comes out and he's on his shoulder and he's like trying to tell him all this good shit, and he's like, "Oh, well, what do you want to do?" And he's like explaining this, and you think it's going to go into a sentimental moment, and he goes, "Well, all I really want is just the magic so I can be all and powerful and murder everyone." And he goes, "Oh boy, I got a lot of work to do." It was it was so GP says at Mr. Zod's Phantom Zone sounds like Puss is a time lord, like the master is trying to get back his regenerations. I like the Doctor Who reference. Good one, Mr. GP. But yeah, so basically it's really interesting how they structure this because there are 3 parties essentially chasing the wishing star. And out of those people, the people have everything that they want and they just don't realize it. And I guess that's the journey. And only one of them is actually an asshole who just wants the power for himself. But the other people, they're presented as kind of what? Turn it this way? They can't even. See, this is why I need a Megan robot. So, a bitch has to get choked sometime. I need deniability. Anyways, nah, see, I wouldn't get a Megan robot because, women stick together and fuck that. She had that look, like even Bitchy said. She got this look one time where she's like, I give that look. And I go, I know. That's probably why this fucking movie terrified me. Anyways, I'm like, I seen that look. It was at my house when I fucked up and said something stupid. She's in at home. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do it. The fucking doll does it better. But you ladies, you've given that look. You know the look, okay? The doll had that look. That's what's creeped me the fuck out because it was more of like PTSD. I'm like, holy shit, man. What? Oh, that's right. This is a movie. Um, yes, Papa Cotton. I gave it an 8 out of 10. M3gan is definitely a good movie. And there's a story. I know, shocking. I didn't think Hollywood could do it, but there is. The story is actually really good in the movie. So you can check out the beginning of my review at the beginning. Right now, I'm talking about Puss in Boots and how fucking awesome that was. I saw 2 good movies in a row. So, anyways, where was I at? So basically, in this movie, they're all looking for the wishing star, and yeah, luckily this isn't a Disney movie. This is DreamWorks, I believe. Yeah, and they still know how to tell stories apparently. So uh, they uh, they're all looking for the switching star, and so you got Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You got Puss in Boots. What is it? Swift Paws, Soft Paws. Yeah, soft. Oh, Kitty Soft Paws. Yeah, Kitty Soft Paws. You got uh Hoarder, and they're all trying to get this wishing star. And so Kitty Soft Paws wants to get the star because she doesn't want to be lonely, but she has a backstory as to why she doesn't want to be. Puss in Boots wants 9 lives again because he's about to die, and the Goldilocks wants a family. So right off the bat, it was pretty interesting that the movie dealt with such heavy themes for a kids film, but also the way the resolutions came and the way there was silly goofy shit, but it was like they were all building to something. And like people didn't learn lessons like a Disney movie, they learned the lesson in 5 minutes. Everyone would sing a fucking song and they'd all be friends at the end, okay? Because Disney's on that kumbaya bullshit that's unrealistic. These characters gone through struggle, and I can't remember the last time I've seen a cartoon movie that dealt with death. And the fact that they made death a physical thing for Puss in Boots, that it was literally chasing him. Like I thought it was a metaphor for a second, but then the last fight scene is Puss in Boots fighting death, and it is so fucking. I want to own this movie just to rewatch the fucking end of this film over and over again. The battle between Puss in Boots and this wolf, who I assume is maybe a take on the big bad wolf, but he's death. Um, the battle that they have at the end, he like has, he's deaf, so he has his scythes, and he like has a ring of fire around him, of course, but the fire is like magical, so nobody can get in. And uh, it's a combination of Puss in Boots coming to terms with he's going to die, but accepting death gracefully. He needed to accept that he has only one life, and that instead of trying to buy himself more time, instead of trying to get more life back, that he needs to make the most of the life he has. That his whole life he has had people around him, but because of this image he's built of being a hero and for the people, he's focused so much on his image and that defining him. And he's made all these friends and shit along the way that he kind of threw on the back burner. He left Kitty Swift Paws, uh, Soft Paws, whatever. He left Kitty Soft Paws at the altar. He didn't go and get married to her. So it was it was pretty cool to see a kids movie that actually dealt and dived into that shit. And he could only beat death when he realized he had to face the fact that he could die and that he had to live his life. And there's a really cool scene. They both like are fighting super fucking. Okay. Oh my goodness. I know. I plugged it in. Anyways, uh, so it was basically he had to face death, and he had to realize that in his life he was missing the things in life that are important in order to feed his ego, and he put such a value on having so much time that he wasn't living the time that he had. And there's a great speech at the end where Death looks at him and they have a stare down. And dude, Death is scary. He does this little whistle shit and he's got the scythes and there's rings of fire and shit. And then he looks at him and he's like, "You're not the same uh, Puss in Boots I fought before." He goes, "You're different." And he goes, "This is no fun." he's like he's like, "I wanted the arrogant, show off, cocky, you that's not you anymore." And so when he faced him this last time, oh yeah, so the quote goes, "I came here for an arrogant little legend who thought he was immortal." Which was it was just great because the whole point of Death actually coming out to face him was that he thought he was above death. He thought he could never die. He thought he was untouchable. He didn't value what he had in his life. So Death personally came after him. And then after he faced that and faced mortality and can I finish it or do you want to actually come on? So anyways, after he faced the fact that he was going to die and realized the people that he had in his life, then he became a better person, and Death is letting him live out the rest of his life. And there's a really fucking awesome teaser towards a possible another Shrek, because they steal this rich guy boat who's kind of a running joke. Like, he steals from him in the beginning and then he steals his boat at the end. And you see they're like got a little dog companion, and I didn't even get into that arc, but that dog had a fucking bad, messed up, tragic story, and he's the happiest out of the bunch. But anyways, so they're like, "Where to next?" And he's like, "We're going to visit some old friends." And you see the sign for Far Far Away, and I was like, "What? A teaser to another Shrek? Yeah!" So I'm super excited because I guess they're working on another Shrek, and this story was going into the next movie I assume that they're making. So good job to DreamWorks. Good job to Blumhouse. Both movies were really good. Uh, they were surprisingly better than I think they had any right to be. I did not expect for it to get deep. When I went to see Puss in Boots, you're not expecting to get like a deep message about family and being adopted and facing death and facing your fears and loving and respecting and cherishing the people around you. Like, I just wanted to see, Puss in Boots do his thing and fighting with his swords. I didn't know I was going to get a whole, like, deep metaphoric look at life and all of that. And at the same time, too, Megan was surprisingly a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. Like, again, with loss and grief and dealing with depression and technology and do we depend on it too much? Like, all these movies hit me with like deep thoughts, and I like, wow, this does not feel like January. So kudos. I guess we're breaking the curse of January because right now we have that, and then January 15th, The Last of Us comes out. Super excited for that. So, man, kudos. There's some people who give a shit about making good movies. Oh, no, on your right, Tim. On your right. Tim says on my left. Anyways, but yeah. So far, my movie experience have been good. Puss in Boots, I'm going to give slightly higher. I'm going to technology is life. Damn it. Yeah. Careful. Your Apple might turn on you, or iPhone. It'll be Megan. That bitch is crazy. I'm just gonna say it. Like, yo, that bitch is nuts. She scares the shit out of me. Like, parents, stop getting your kids them creepy ass dolls. I mean, come on. I don't care that it's an artificial intelligence robot. It's not technically a doll. It looks creepy as shit. I'm sorry. No, Jenny, I don't like sharks either. And I don't subscribe to people jumping their dumb ass into tanks and go, oh, look at the 300-pound or 3,000-pound, whatever the fuck the measurement is, okay? A big ass fucking fish with sharp teeth, and I'm just gonna poke it with a stick. No, never catch me doing that. I'll do that when I'm at the end of my life and I got nothing to lose. Then I'll go, you know, mess with rattlesnakes and jump in the ocean with sharks and all that crazy shit. Like Puss in Boots, I value my only life. So, anyways, definitely go check both these movies out. I give Puss in Boots a 9 out of 10, and I give M3gan an 8 out of 10. I think M3gan for me just needed a little bit more gore, and some of the scenes didn't quite make sense. I think they should have definitely toned down the singing, and um, definitely should have added a little bit more to the gore. But both of them were very solid movies. I never thought Puss in Boots would be in the talk of a solid movie, but here we are. Um, Go animation. I guess animators can still tell stories. The thing I think I appreciate most is there was finally a story out there where it has an actual meaning, a message, a good message that people can actually like get behind, like appreciate the things you have in life. Don't take people for granted. You know, you only get one life, so enjoy what's in your life. I just I love these movies, so I know hence why I bring up Zod to have fun with you. Zod, I respect you a lot, but I gotta have fun in a lighthearted way. Oh yeah, I agree. Well, at General Zod's Phantom Zone, did you know that there was some AI toy that was recording data and sharing it with companies? Also, there was an Elmo that said to a kid it was gonna kill him. I did hear about that story. I did not cover that GP, but I did hear the story about the Elmo that was defective and it told the kid it was gonna kill him. Tickle Me Elmo had enough of their shit. Um, but yeah, this movie does mention that. Uh, if you go and see this movie, like there's a little bit of Easter eggs. They do talk about it. There's a scene where they reference gathering people's data from cameras on the fucking toys and analytics. So, and our phones do that too. So, a lot of this stuff isn't too far off. And I think that's the one thing I really enjoy about stuff like this, like horror, where it's actual stuff that's could happen. Like things that we interact with every day. It's a real concern. And I appreciated the movie for diving into it. And there's a little bit of comedy in there, a couple of laughs. Yeah, I mean, if Elmo can go crazy, imagine what an AI can do. But, anyways, this was a short, quick review. Just wanted to do an hour little thing. I'll be back on Sunday with the late night crew, PB, Cyber Husky. We'll be talking about some juicy stories. Ezra Miller is apparently staying in DC, so I'm just gonna bang my head against the wall a couple of times. I don't know why they keep on giving this fucker a chance. I can't understand it. I don't know whose dick he's sucking or what secrets he's got on Warner's. But at this point, I'm thinking he's blackmailing a CEO because this guy should be fucking done, and I don't understand it. Um, so I'll be talking about that and a couple of other little interesting stories. So, oh yeah, Facebook's big on that. They spy on all sorts of shit. They've had personal information leaked and credit card numbers. Facebook's had a lot of different lawsuits over the years. But thank you everybody for watching. Please click that like, share, subscribe. Go check out the beginning of the video to catch my non-spoiler thoughts on M3gan. And then stay for my spoiler review of Puss in Boots 2, and definitely go and check these out. I had a fun time. It was a great night. Thank you all for watching. And remember, the only rule here in the fandom zone is kneel before Señor Puss in Boots.